Hi folks, Owen of XBit Gits. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but I'm going to have a go at doing another bits in pieces video. And today you may recognize this Saturn Mission Stick HSS 0114 in front of me. I did do a video on that a while back where we fixed up the rapid fire buttons on the, let's call it the button deck. What I have discovered recently is that the actual joystick is flaky. The desire is to use this stick in our upcoming Aviation April video where I want to test Andrew at Afterburner 2 on the Saturn, but using different controllers. I say test Andrew because he seems to have fond memories of playing it a lot. I only recently played Afterburner 2 in the last couple of years when I got my Saturn with a normal control pad. I think I just suck at it, and this mission stick isn't really helping. Let's start by demonstrating exactly what I mean. So we've got the video capture hooked up to our Saturn, going through a Hyperkin cable. Okay, so press start button. Now we can demonstrate, so the stick kind of works up and down. Start. Now, check this out. If I tap it, hold it, it looks like now it's behaving itself. Of course it is, because I'm recording a video. But what are our actual controls here? A, which will also double as the trigger, should fire our cannon. B and C, which are the buttons on either side of the throttle, will fire missiles. And the throttle should control our speed. So let's get into game and have a look at what's going on.
Get ready.
Apologies in advance, I'm going to suck. So we've got cannon firing, but we still have cannon firing, and I don't think we should. It's a good thing you have infinite ammo with this. So down, up, up, down. So that's one thing, it's off to the left there even though I let go of the stick. And if I tap the stick, we go left. And now when it swings back to the right, it seems to have... So the cannon is constantly firing. That's not ideal. I mean, it's infinite ammo, but that seems to indicate that the trigger is sticking, I guess. Okay, that's enough of that for demonstration. Unlike a joystick that you might use on a PC or some of the more modern consoles, there's no real calibrate my joystick option available in the Saturn software. I think that means we're going to have to do a good old-fashioned tear down and analog clean out. And we've seen the inside of the button deck in my previous video. This will be the first time I've looked inside one of these analog sticks. Okay, so first step, of course, is let's disassemble this thing. So flip it over. Now, let's get the button deck out of the way entirely. Just like that. All right, and undo the thumb screw. There we go. Looks like there's only 4 screws, 2 down here and then 4 in the corners. Screwdriver magnetizers are fantastic. This long shaft screwdriver is fantastic. It's one of my most used tools while working on consoles, and I think I paid $2 for it from one of our large hardware store chains. Probably Bunnings or Masters when they used to be around. Rest in peace. For international viewers, Bunnings is similar to, I think in Canada you have Canadian Tire. It's like Home Depot for the United States viewers. And if you're in the United Kingdom, what do you have? What's your big, gigantic, owns everything hardware store chain? Okay, screws are removed. Let's see what happens. Does it just Okay, that wants to remove, but the stick is stuck. So that's, how do we get this undone? That might not actually be removable. Just checking if there's any screws under the sticker. Doesn't appear to be. There's screws on the side of the stick here. I'm going to suspect that we have to remove those. And if I look off to weird angles again, this is the first time I'm trying this setup with some slightly different gear. Better cameras, got a 4K top, a real 4K top camera that I paid 4K camera prices for. It's just an Elgato Facecam Pro, but it's actually 4K. Not like that horrible $180 thing I bought off eBay. Oof. If that camera that you've seen me use in some of my other attempts at bits and pieces videos is a 4K camera, then it's got the most pristine noise you'll ever see. Okay, I think we're having a win here. We've got the screws out on the stick. Let's see what happens now. Am I going to regret this? So it wants to come apart this way. Oh, okay. So there we go. We've got the joystick element here. And, oh, I see a spring. Let me... Okay, that spring seems to be quite happily attached to the trigger. So, spring in there. And our buttons just... Now, there's a little tiny piece here that's also spring-loaded. I think that's for the throttle, which might make more sense if it was actually assembled. Okay, so we're not really interested in the mechanical assembly. I mean, other than the fact that that's what it looks like. Oh, I wonder if this bit here, it's hard to see. Let's see if I can get that up to the camera and have it actually focus. But that bit there, nothing fell off. It almost looks like it's sheared. Just trying to... Yeah, it almost looks like it's actually been sheared off deliberately, possibly as part of the manufacturing process. Because no little pieces have fallen out yet, so that's a plus, I suppose. Now, this doesn't look really bode well for... Aha. We have more pieces. I was going to say it doesn't bode well for this being able to be disassembled, but we have. And now... So I'm guessing there's probably going to be some potentiometers in here. Ooh, that doesn't want... I think I need to just pull this straight up, but of course, this thing was expensive. It might not be working reliably now, but I'm not in a hurry to break it, he says while he goes to pry it with a screwdriver. Some kind of hole on the bottom to push through would be advantageous, but this is what we've got. Oh, there's some foam, which looks like it's the disintegrate after 30 years kind. Let's remove this rubber. Well, let's leave that rubber thing hang there. Okay, this circuit board really does not want to come free. I'm not sure if this is going to be visible, but if we look in there, see that silver thing about where my finger is? That's what looks like the spring base for the joystick. Nice and solid. I'm going to try gently removing this sticker, just to see if there's any fastener underneath. But again, you can usually feel there's really no holes under there. Is this a one-way assembly? Oh, plot twist. I was expecting like potentiometers or something like that. It looks, from what I'm seeing here, and I'm trying to work out how to make that visible in the camera, it looks as though the position sensing is actually optical. Okay, so now that I've actually realized that my phone wasn't in video mode, and also therefore not recording, let's try this again. What we're looking at here is there appears to be an LED and a photodiode under each of the access points, and I'm guessing that the tabs, zoom out on my phone here, I'm guessing that each of these tabs here is quite possibly reflective underneath. I mean, that would make sense, whether there's actually a mirror or it's just naturally reflective enough. The curious nerd inside me is interested to see what happens if we power this unit on, connected to the system with the cover removed. Let's do that. Right, bit of a hack, but let's see what we get. Let's see what the phone reveals. Nothing yet. So if they're visible light LEDs, we'll be able to see that. If they're infrared LEDs, we'll also be able to see that because your phone's camera sensor can pick up infrared. Okay, it's definitely photosensitive because whew. Well, that was interesting. They're definitely optical. I was expecting to see some form of light, be that infrared or visible. Not entirely sure what's going on there. Okay, so we're due for a great big fat don't try this at home warning. I'm going to see if, never mind, my pliers aren't going to pull this out. I suspect that it's probably very important that the stick assembly remains oriented a specific way to the actual control board. Let's see if I've got a suitable probe to reach under and maybe lift the board up. Ooh, preferably something not too sharp. I said not too sharp. We might have to make do with sharp. Okay, hopefully I'm not about to regret this. Ah, interesting. The circuit board is definitely removed from the actual stick assembly because not sure how well this is going to come through. I keep my head out of the way, but I can manipulate the board, move it around just fine. Probably ruined it now. Now we're back to how on earth does this actually disassemble? Looking underneath these tabs, they do appear, you can see what appears to just be white. Oh, phone focus is going nuts. But it does look like there's just some white film or something stuck on the underside of these tabs. What I am going to attempt is, let's see if we can reassemble the stick without the top shell on. See if that improves our ability to work on this, and mostly test if we're actually making a difference. That's one of the key things here. Make sure we get this top plate for the buttons on correctly. Oh, our B button is disappearing. It's all right, come back here, B button. There we go. Rubber piece goes back over the shaft of the joystick. Shit, which way did this come out? Interesting, we've got, here we go, we can see the optical sensors. Right, we can see that the throttle control uses optical sensors as well. We've got the photodiode and LED arrangement. Now, when I was putting the light on it earlier on, I did notice that the throttle was going crazy as well. And that's why. There you go. I do wonder if all we need to do... Oh, God, I'm worried that maybe these won't like being sprayed with isopropyl alcohol. But I'm not sure what else we can try. I think we might... Put my fingerprint on it now. We're definitely going to have to try. I think we might see if we can spray these and get any improved or reliable behaviour. Got my trusty IPA squirt bottle. I do buy it in 5-litre bottles, but squirt bottles are better for application. Hopefully this isn't the end of this joystick's functional life. I'm thinking it might just be easiest to spray in and then try and get the Q-tips in there. I do wonder if Sega ever made service manuals for these things. I've never really tried to look, to be honest. There's definitely dust coming out of this. I might also get the air sprayer and try that. So my air duster is basically empty, but I'm hoping there's one last gasp in it just to blow away anything that might be in there. See if that did anything. How? So those buttons are going to have to go that way so they can be actuated. Okay, the trigger spring appears to sit on the back of this circuit board. Be mindful not to dirty up our optical... Oh yeah, we can see on the back of the throttle that there are those white pads. So that's that's the reflective surface for the sensors. Fascinating. Really was not expecting that. Now I'm wondering what if there were any actual benefits, or if it was just something they did for cost, or what. Of course, this is about as fiddly as I expected. All right, we've got a micro switch on the back here as well for the trigger to press against, so that would be our A button. Actually, because I was curious as to whether the A button was actually sticking. Now, I could be incorrect. I'll check this out with a normal control pad before I edit this video together. But for all I know, because you got infinite ammo, maybe the game is just firing the cannons all the time. So we'll just work that switch a little bit. Good thing about isopropyl alcohol is you discover all the tiny little cuts you might have on your fingers. Fantastic stuff. And we may as well work the B and C switches as well. Use a fresh cotton bud just to clear that up. Give it a blast of the air duster for good measure. I think that just blasted more crap up onto the sensor again. Now let's try and reassemble this thing. Oh no. Okay, just knocked the throttle return spring, I guess you'd call it, loose. Hooray. Apologies if this doesn't come through on camera. It might not, based on however I need to hold this to actually get it back together. So the throttle button is working. B button C button. Okay, they're back in the correct positions. Now we need to try and... Okay, I think that's holding in place. So there's some little lugs underneath the button top plate, I guess, that they don't spring into place, so we kind of have to get it in position and then put the outer shell around it. Okay, I'm hoping that, that the key is the twist in the inner cable might be key. That seems to be putting enough force against the inside circuit board to prevent it from wanting to flick out. Oh God. Everything I say is quickly followed by an internal realization. I hope I don't regret saying that. Now, okay. Okay. I think we're having a win now, folks. There's an inside channel. Looks like there might be... Oh, I've got to get this cable fit snugly in the appropriate portions of this channel here. I think he wants to go under that screw. Oh God, we're close. We are close. What's not working now? I've also just realized something. I'm going to all the trouble of putting this back together to realize that the plate that sits over the stick, that sits over the deck for the stick to come through, hasn't been put back on. Now, I will say, if the things we did to like just spray some isopropyl alcohol in there and give it an air dusting, if they don't fix the perceived issues with this, look, I'm really out of ideas, and for a test video, I don't want it to take all day fiddling with this stuff. Although, I guess by the time I put it together twice, I'll be an expert. Okay, I've got to pull this out. Maybe resetting my approach is what's necessary. Oh, there goes the throttle spring. And there goes the top plate. This piece goes on the underside. Right? Pretty sure it does. Get out of the way. Okay, so the trick there was to put the back of the circuit board, the piece where the trigger spring rests, put that in, pressing down on the spring first, so that it's kind of held captive. And then we can slot in underneath the buttons. Yep, that works. I've just put the stick assembly down. I think just to keep that top plate that sits around our buttons and our throttles in place, I'm going to use a bit of masking tape just to basically tack it in place. Just to reduce the risk of it falling out and having to pick things up and gently put them back together again. That's not quite working as well as I had hoped it might. Okay. Okay. I've worked out a key piece to getting the bottom part, well, the part here that you can see of the stick shell back onto the actual stick itself. It nestles in nicely. I'll bring this up close to the camera. That's kind of how it nestles in with the inner moldings. That rubber ring does appear to be a perfect fit between the bottom of the shell and the top of the actual moving part of the joystick mechanism. So that's just good to know that it looks like we've got that in the correct place. This is becoming a real pain in the butt. Now, I'm not going to move it to show it on camera. You're just going to have to take my word for it. It looks like we've just got to get the final piece of the cable to slot into place on the inside. Oh my goodness, I think we have it. Not quite. Oh no, I'm so close. What's the problem now? The cable on the inside appears to be running in such a way that it's obstructing the ability to close the shell back together. There's something at the top of the stick that just does not want to clasp. Everything else is going in fine. Ah, hang on, it might be. Right, the throttle wheel, however it was positioned internally, was obstructing the final closing. I think we now have this. Oh my goodness, we do. Okay, so the stick itself is back together. Trigger clicks, B clicks, C clicks, throttle springs back. Whew. Time to put the main, time to close the bulk of the case up now. And as hoped earlier on, this metal piece does indeed go under here. Let's put this back together. That's the final two pieces. Slots in there. Of course, there's a cable in the way because it wouldn't be right if there wasn't a cable in the way. Now to put the thumb screw back in. I'm not sure if these come with two thumb screws and mine was missing one, but it's kind of annoying. I don't know if it's a design feature, but part of me would like this to be flat. That's all back together now. Finally, let's see if we were wasting our time. Meaning I'm going to plug it in. Let's fire up the game. Okay, so I think, I'm not sure that what we did made any difference, but what I'm noticing is if I want to move it to the left, so we're going to change the difficulty level, going from hardest down towards easy. It does loop around, so bear that in mind. But to move it, I've got to move, there it starts to change. Now from center, if I want to go in the opposite direction, it takes far less movement there, as opposed to there. So perhaps this wasn't the sensors at all. I think if anything, it just needs a good straining, I suppose, if like bend it back. I'm not sure how you could go about. Okay, and I think I just answered the A button is stuck on question. If we look down here, Auto Vulcan on. Let's turn that off. Okay, I think I'm ready to draw this to a conclusion. What have we learnt? Well, firstly, the Saturn Mission Stick actually uses optical sensors for the joystick positioning. It doesn't use, well, it's analog, so it's not going to use micro switches, but no Hall effect sensors, no potentiometers, nothing like that that can get dusty and scratchy or carbon wear out in that regard. So that's good, I guess. We've also learnt that the problem with this particular stick appears to be that it's just far less sensitive. It's far more sensitive moving to the right than it is to the left. So I guess the spring tension is an issue there. Not entirely sure how to fix that, but at least we've gotten to the root of the problem with this particular stick. When am I going to open it up again to try and fix that? After I do a bit more research, maybe never. That was quite a fiddly reassembly process, but hey, at least I'm more of an expert now than I was before. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If nothing else, it was a nice look inside a piece of old Saturn hardware. If you enjoyed that, maybe have a look at some of the other bits and pieces videos. The quality and presentation is even worse than this, so just be warned. And we'll see you next time.